Hello, welcome to Kelly's Roadhouse, the podcast where we recap every single Sweet Valley High book in the series. I'm Paula and I'm here with Rich.
Hello.
And today we are doing book number 7, Dear Sister.
Yes.
Can Jessica face life without Elizabeth? So this one carries directly on from Dangerous Love, which we did 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So quick recap of what happened in Dangerous Love.
A lot of traumatic, serious events. I mean, most of the book was quite serious, actually. Like, I felt sorry for Liz for the first time ever. So Todd buys...
You won't in this book.
No, I will not in this book. So Todd buys a new bike, which has been foreshadowed since, I think, Secrets, book 2, when he was admiring a bike outside of the pub, and or the club house. So he's bought the bike, and Liz has a secret that she doesn't tell Todd, that her cousin died. Is that right?
Yeah, cousin Rexy died on a motorcycle.
That's right. Rexy died on a motorcycle. So she doesn't want to ride on it with him. So he starts taking other girls out for rides. And it does, I did start feeling sorry for Liz. But ultimately, what happens in a cruel twist of fate, Todd agrees to sell the bike in secret to a guy called Crunch. But Crunch gets drunk in celebration of getting the bike. And then, unfortunately, for reasons that are beyond any kind of sense or logic, Liz suddenly decides that she wants to ride the bike one last time. Not only does she want to ride the bike, but she wants to ride it without a helmet and just goes a bit crazy for a moment. We don't really know why. But anyway, she ends up tragically in hospital in a coma. Todd has been blamed for all of it. Jess and Todd have kind of made peace because of the situation, but ultimately the book ends on a cliffhanger, our first cliffhanger in Sweet Valley High.
Yeah, so it ended with Elizabeth in a coma.
And she may have brain damage, they can't rule it out.
Yeah. So
it's very serious.
And
this
the
book
cover
very quickly drops that whole seriousness. But yes, the cover.
Yeah, I meant when I said, quick recap, I meant just say Liz is in a coma.
Oh, sorry. I just
but fine if you want to explain the whole book. That's okay. So we've got a nice purple cover with a picture of Jessica looking very upset and clutching a photograph of Elizabeth to her chest.
Her dear sister.
It's a nice pretty cover, but it's a bit dull. There's not really that much going on.
Doesn't give you a sense of what happens in the book, like Dangerous Love did.
Yeah. And it says, can Jessica face life without Elizabeth?
No.
No.
No, she cannot. I don't think Jessica could face anything without Elizabeth.
No. It says, a senseless tragedy. Sweet Valley is stunned by the news. Beautiful young Elizabeth Wakefield lies in a coma on the brink of death after a horrible motorcycle accident. Elizabeth's boyfriend Todd is consumed by guilt. He was driving and escaped unharmed. He feels totally helpless. All he can do is wait for a change in Elizabeth's condition, a change that might mean the loss of the only girl he's ever loved. But no one is more shattered than Elizabeth's twin Jessica. As she keeps watch over the silent body of her sister, she's overwhelmed by despair. Without Elizabeth, can life go on?
Oh dear. Well, let's find out.
Yeah, so we both absolutely loved this book.
This book is amazing.
This might be a long podcast.
It could be a very long podcast. Strap in.
So there is literally no fucking around and no flowery intro.
No.
It just goes straight into Elizabeth lying on a hospital bed.
Yep. So there's been no change. It's been days and no change.
It says she's as still as if she were dead. But, of course, we still get the description.
Yes. So despite being in a hospital bed in a coma.
So 5'6", gloriously attractive girls with sun-streaked blonde hair and blue-green eyes. But now the difference between them was striking. Liz hardly resembled the vivacious girl from a few days ago, but Jessica's youthful beauty was still very much in evidence. So basically, Liz is dying, and they open by telling us how ugly she looks compared to her sister.
Yeah, and also, I started reading that, and it said the difference was striking and heartbreaking, and I was like, oh my god, is she really bruised and injured from this crash? No, she's just a bit pale because she's in a coma. It's okay. And really poor taste to open your book going well, they're still really pretty, even though they're in a coma.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a doctor enters, and the first thing he says,
oh god, this guy
is how beautiful they both are.
Yeah.
Rather than, say, are you okay? Do you want a drink? Update on her condition. First thing he comments is how beautiful the twins are.
Yes. The John Edwards, the neurosurgeon, he literally walks in and he's like, I could tell that you're her sister because you're both beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For fuck's sake. Liz is in a coma, and be professional.
Yeah, and Jess is obviously distraught.
But even the doctor loses his shit over the amazing Wakefield twins because they are so fucking amazing.
The most stunning girls ever.
Dazzling. So he says he's Liz's neurosurgeon, Dr. Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jessica's crying.
I know.
And he starts shaking her and telling her to stop.
Yeah, and he...
Nice bedside manner.
He also cups her face in his hands.
Yeah.
Forcing her to look up at him.
The doctor can't behave like that.
I know, it's horrendous. I was really like, this doctor just needs firing.
Mm-hmm. She tells him it's all her fault, and he tells her that it's nobody's fault, but it's up to the Wakefields to bring Liz back. So it's not up to him then, as the doctor, his job. It's up to the Wakefields to bring her back.
It's not.
Like, I was reading this, like, oh my god.
It's not up to science or medicine to save your comatose sister. It's down to you. Mm. Just say nice things.
He says that he'll help, but that it's really down to Jess.
I should fucking hope you'll help.
Yeah. He'll help, but it's really down to Jess.
Yeah.
He says she just has to talk to her.
Yeah.
Just talk to her. Yeah.
Just talk to her. It'll be fine. I mean, I think Todd already tried that in the last book when they all held hands.
And they made the weird circle. And then he looks angry and he says, doctors can't will people to come back. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Like, oh my god.
This is the best bedside manner.
This is the worst doctor ever.
He just comes in, is really creepy to Jess, and then is like, well, I can't help. Sort it out yourself. Bye.
And then he leaves and he tells Jess to take care of her.
Yeah, just look after her.
He says, take care of your sister, and he leaves. It's like, do your job.
Yeah. Just a really creepy guy.
So Jessica starts talking to Liz, telling her, she starts telling her how selfish she is and how she'll never forgive her if she dies.
Yeah, and she says that, like, basically, she starts off with, like, this is my fault, and then she's like, well, actually, it's not entirely my fault, and basically says that she's a jerk because only a jerk would count on Jessica to do anything. So it's kind of her fault for trusting in Jessica. Oh, sorry, we should say Jessica was going to give her a lift, but didn't give her a lift. Didn't show up, which is why
hopefully people listen to the last one and they'll want to.
Well, yes, go back and listen.
If not, then stop this podcast now and go back and listen to the other one.
And then come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Please come back.
Please come back. Yeah, we want you back.
But then Jess turns around and Dr. Edwards is standing there.
Yeah, he's just like
in the doorway.
So
being
was he
creepy weirdo.
Did he leave, or did he just kind of walk out and then just kind of start staring at her? Because it feels like he's not been gone long. It's like he like walked away and then he was just still watching like a weird creep. And
then he says, like, this isn't the kind of thing I had in mind when I said to talk to her.
Yeah.
Like, tell her how selfish she is. And then he grins at her and ruffles her hair.
Oh.
Like, I just can't believe this doctor is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
He says to talk to her about everyday things like family, school, and boys. So for the next 2 days, that's what Jess does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what she says is... she says, remember the time I tried to take Todd away from you?
Remember all the horrible things I've ever done to you?
She goes on about how world-class dull Enid is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, remember that your friend's a complete dickhead and I hate her.
And she reminds Liz of when she blabbed Enid's secret about the letters with George. It's like, you could say anything. I remember that, like, Christmas 1984 or whatever,
But it gets worse.
Remember when we went on this holiday? No, that's what she says.
No. Remember this Christmas when we had so much fun?
Yeah.
No, she's like, well, it gets worse.
Then she says, do you mind if I say something about your makeup? Well, she doesn't have much of a fucking choice, does she?
No. She says it's okay, but if she did it right, she could be sensational.
Yeah, she says, don't get me wrong, you look good, but with more eye makeup and blusher, you look sensational. And your clothes, jeans, and button-down shirts are okay, but you're too conservative. We really have to take you shopping. Like, what the hell?
Now, I have been, in the last 6 books, very critical of Elizabeth's dress sense, and I do agree with what Jess is saying.
So do I.
There is a time and a place for everything, and this is neither the time nor the place.
So she hears a soft moan, and Liz is awake.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
Criticising her awful dress
Probably
dress
just wants
sense.
to tell her to shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she's
yeah,
like-
yeah. Oh, she also says that no one could write the eyes and ears column, and I was like, what? Yeah, she's going to come out of a coma because of the school newspaper.
Well, knowing her, she probably would.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so she moans.
yeah, and she's awake. So the next day, Jessica arrives at the hospital to see Liz again, and Liz is crying.
Yeah, something's wrong.
So Jessica thinks she's having a relapse or she's in pain or something. But Liz says, "Look at me. Just look at me." And Jessica thinks, well, she looks a little pale. Her blue eyes don't sparkle like they used to, and her usually shiny blonde hair was hanging limply. Excuse her for, being ill in a hospital bed.
Excuse me for nearly dying.
But Liz says that Jess would cry too if she didn't like her.
I loved this. Because for once, for the first time in 6 books, Jess is getting the treatment that she always gives Elizabeth. She always says that she looks awful, and then Elizabeth, by proxy, is like, well, I'm your twin, so then that means I look awful as well. And now Jess is getting some of her own medicine. Liz is saying that she looks awful, and,
But Jessica rightly says, you're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
But she also says that she's brought dry shampoo, makeup, cologne and lotion. Mm-hmm. And that she'll get to work on her before Todd arrives.
Yeah.
So she gives Liz a quick makeover. But it's not enough for Liz.
It's not, no. She says that her eyes look positively dead.
So she tells Jess to hand her the makeup, and she adds more of everything, and she just ends up with loads and loads of makeup on.
I just basically. My vision of it is like she just looks like a clown now. She's
Yeah.
got so much makeup on. But yeah, she's also very disappointed in what Jess has brought for her to wear, isn't she?
Yeah, she calls it a tacky horror.
A tacky horror.
She calls the hospital gown a tacky horror.
Oh yeah, sorry. She says, "Have you got anything for me to wear other than this tacky horror?"
Yeah. Hospital gown.
Oh.
So Jessica's brought her favourite nightshirt.
Liz's favourite nightshirt.
Yeah, sorry, Liz's favourite nightshirt.
Yeah.
A well-worn UCLA t-shirt that Liz has always loved.
Yeah.
But Liz says she needs something sexier.
Yeah, because she's surrounded by doctors and interns.
Yeah, and Jessica is confused by this. Because it's not normal behaviour.
It's not normal for boring Elizabeth.
So then Todd goes in to see Liz. And she's very rude to him.
She's extremely rude. He goes in and he can almost immediately tell that something's wrong.
So he tries to talk about the accident, but she just pretends to be asleep.
Yeah. She just pretends to be asleep. And then when he finally does get her attention, she just appears bored.
Yeah, and she tells him, she's tired and she wants him to leave.
Yeah. But Todd apologizes and he's really nice. It's Todd, isn't it? Todd is nice. So he's like, I'm really sorry. How could I think of that at a time like this? I understand you're really tired, and I'll leave you to it to rest. And he leaves.
And he tells Jessica that she seems a bit quiet. And Jess says, well, they can't expect her to be laughing when she's just got out of a coma.
Yeah, Jess is quite defensive here, but I think she's got a fair point. Like, she has just literally woken up from a coma.
Yeah. But then they hear her flirty laughter floating down the hall.
Oh, no.
And Todd says maybe doctors are more interesting than basketball players. Because she's flirting with Dr. Edwards.
The creepy Dr. Edwards, the neurosurgeon.
So 3 weeks later, she's allowed to go home. Yes. And they've made a huge effort. So Jessica's been up all night making a banner.
Now, you remember when I was really annoyed at Enid for the way she was treating her mum about all of the effort she'd gone to for a party?
Yeah.
They've made banners.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jess made a banner. Jessica.
She never does anything for anyone else.
I know. And she's made a banner. There's balloons and stuff and, a big welcome home sign. Handmade.
But Liz doesn't really care or thank them or anything.
No. And, Alice and Ned helped to blow up the balloons. But yeah, she teases them about the decorations. She kind of teases and then, but she does seem amused by the attention.
So she gets put on bed rest and she complains to Jessica about how bored she is. And Jess points out that she always wanted more time to read. And she says, well, that's not fun. It's about time I did less reading and more living. And she decides that they need a party.
Yes, she decides they need a party. And Jess says, we're not going to be allowed to have a party. There's no way. But Liz, Liz thinks that she can swing it after her parole ends in a week.
So Jess is she's shocked, but she's happy about this because she loves the party.
Yeah.
And she starts suggesting people to invite, like Enid, Lila, Cara.
Yeah.
But Liz says she doesn't want any girls there and that they can handle all the guys alone. What the fuck? So she just wants the two of them and a load of guys.
And a load of guys. She thinks she can get away with it if she tells Alice and Ned that it's going to be therapeutic for her to have it. So Jess actually thinks secretly in her mind, she's like, this is what I've always wanted.
Yeah.
But why is Liz the one suggesting this? But she does think that the Wakefield sisters can handle the guys on their own.
Why would you do that though?
I know. Why would Liz do that?
Why would you want that? But Jessica points out that every girl they know would shun them. Yeah,
so basically the reason they don't go through with this plan is that they realise they won't be invited to any other parties if they do it.
Yeah.
That's the only reason they didn't go through with this.
Yeah, so Liz reluctantly agrees to invite the girls as well.
Yeah.
And she notices Liz is wearing a sexy satin nightgown. And she says it will raise Todd's temperature to 137 degrees if he sees it.
Yes, 137 degrees.
There we go with our first bingo.
Oh yeah, we're playing bingo, by the way.
Is that our first bingo that we've had so far?
Yes, it is.
So yeah, if you follow us on Instagram, we've put up a Sweet Valley High bingo card.
Yes.
We've already worked out that we would get a full house with double love, but
yeah,
we're seeing which books we can get a full house for.
Mm-hmm. So we've got one off the list. The number 37, 137 is off the list.
So Liz says that Todd's not likely to see it, but Jess says he's planning to stop by that afternoon.
Yeah. She says that she doesn't want to see him. She says she'll see him when she goes back to school.
So Jessica goes downstairs and lies to him.
Yes.
And he tells Jess he's worried about Liz.
Yeah, and understandably so. So Todd, I don't think Todd's seen her since that day in the hospital when she just said she needed rest. Now she's home, she still doesn't want to see him. But Jess lies and says that her mum said that she can't have any visitors until she goes back to school.
And Todd thinks that she blames him for the accident.
Yeah.
So asks if she blames him. But Jess tells him not to be a jerk. And says that Liz is exactly the same as she always is.
Yeah. So she's secretly thinking something's up too, but I think she's, she's just being defensive of her sister, and she's just glad that her sister's alive and not, in a coma still. And she says that, she's fine, and that in no time at all, she'll have probably written lots of Oracle articles while Jess is still struggling to finish the Moby Dick assignment. And then she says, have you got this quote?
Yeah, go on.
Todd, who really cares about whales? Todd thinks that he cares about whales, but he lets the comment slip. There's
how
a
dare she
theme.
insult whales?
No, how dare she insult the whales? For the last 2 books, there's been some serious attention and focus on whales.
Yeah, Todd cares about whales.
Todd does care about whales.
And Mandy and Winston care about whales.
We know
and
that.
And we care about whales.
Well, we do care about whales. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, save the whales.
Save the whales.
But yeah, he says she's right and that Liz will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's a smart, hard-working, good writer. She's nice to everyone and she's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's gone, Jessica starts to fix dinner and she wonders how Liz used to do it.
Yes.
Basically, it seems like, she's got to do all the things Liz used to do now. They're kind of trading places.
Yeah, there's a bit of karma here where Jess is now having to do all the chores that she used to avoid because she could get Liz to do them.
So a week later, Liz is ready for school.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for her big comeback. And she's wearing a new green mini dress that Alice has bought her as a return to the world outfit.
Yes. So she's managed to persuade Alice that she needed a new dress to return to school with.
And Jess feels dull and uninteresting in her jeans and t-shirt.
Liz also says that it isn't for borrowing. She knows what Jess is like, and this dress is off limits.
So they get to school, and Enid rushes over, and she throws her arms around Liz.
Or does she?
Yeah, it's not Liz, it's Jess.
The twin antics are back in full swing in this book, and I love it.
So Liz is rushed to the Oracle office to check in.
Yes.
And Mr. Collins is there.
He is indeed.
He mistakes her for Jessica.
Mm.
So Liz tells him that he needs an eye test and his jaw drops. He says she looks wonderful. And she says, you look pretty good too.
Yeah.
That count as a bingo?
It
Bingo
definitely
square?
does.
Mr. Collins is called
I
handsome.
think, yeah. Mr. Collins is called handsome is one of our bingo
I haven't
choices.
written it down because I'm really disorganised about this whole thing.
It's all right, I'm keeping track.
But I think there was, like, in the book on this bit, I think they did say something about how handsome he was.
They did. When she walked in, they mention it. It's like with the twins, they always have the same blurb about the twins.
Yeah.
They always do it with Mr. Collins as well. They talk about how he's like the most handsome teacher in Sweet Valley High, and half the girls fancy Mr. Collins. So yeah, we did get the handsome there. So yeah, he asks. He says she must have found the hospital awful, but Liz says, it wasn't all bad. There were loads of hot doctors and interns there. And again, the jaw drops.
Yeah. All day, people mix the twins up, and Jessica starts having an identity crisis.
Yeah, she starts having a bit of a complex.
And then it's the same all week. So Jess just focuses on their pool party to get her through.
Yeah, while Liz is wearing a new dress every day of the week.
The day of the party arrives, and Alice and Ned are going out for the night. And leaving them to have the party unsupervised.
Which sounds like a terrible idea.
Shit parents.
Yeah, they're like 16, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to have a load of... Well, at one point they were only going to have guys around.
Yeah, they just let them have the party on their own. But Elizabeth phones Jess and she says she's at the mall and something vitally important has come up.
Yes, so she suggests that Jess does the prep.
Yeah, all the party prep on her own. So
again... this is what happened previously. Jess left Liz to do all the prep for a previous party, I think. So again, karma. It's all swapped. The roles are reversed.
Yeah. So Jessica gets out some onion soup mix and she starts making a dip. I really want to know how to make a dip out of onion soup mix because it sounds delicious.
It does kind of sound quite nice, actually, doesn't it? Now that you say it like that.
Yeah. I might have to look that up. So she clears all the leaves and twigs out of the pool. She checks the chlorine levels. She puts out ice, chips, dip, and the stereo speakers.
Yeah, she's done a lot of work.
And she's red-faced and all sweaty.
So she thinks she needs a shower.
So she races inside to take a shower, but Liz comes home and instead of helping, she's got straight in the bloody shower before Jessica.
Yeah, so Jessica discovers she snuck in. She snuck in and had a shower instead of helping.
And then she emerges from the shower and she acts all innocent.
Yeah.
And she tells Jessica that Jessica looks an absolute mess.
Yeah. And
Cheers.
she better hurry up because the party's about to start.
So Jess quickly gets ready and she changes into a smashingly daring ice blue bikini.
She also checks herself out in the mirror.
Yeah, bingo, yeah. She goes down and people have arrived. So we've got Cara Walker, Lila, Enid, Todd, Ken, John Pfeiffer, Winston, and his new girlfriend Mandy.
Oh,
I want to go to this party.
Officially together. The whales have brought them completely together. They are now in a relationship, which I'm really glad about. I thought Winston would never get in a relationship in the books. I thought he'd be one of those like, oh, he's the loser guy. He never gets with anyone. So it's really nice.
He has an affair with the older teacher in Sweet Valley University.
Oh Lord!
With a professor's wife. I said professor's wife. Yeah.
Wow.
It's really steamy. Yeah, and they're all just surrounding Elizabeth, who is looking sensational in a very revealing green bikini, and all the guys are in awe of her.
Yes. So it appears that the important work that Liz was doing was buying this new revealing green bikini, whilst Jessica was, quote, slaving away like Cinderella.
Yeah. Todd says to Jess that Elizabeth must be feeling better. And Jess says if she felt any better, she'd be orbiting the moon.
Yeah.
So Jess is glad that Liz is having fun.
Yeah.
And the party is a blazing success. But Elizabeth picks all the music and she dances with every boy. Except Todd.
Yeah, apart from Todd.
Because Jess and Todd spend most of the night just watching from the side.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, at one point, Winston actually comes up looking for a drink. I don't know if you've got this in your notes.
No, I don't think so.
So Winston comes up looking for a drink, and obviously Jess is stood there by the sidelines. And it says that Jess feels a little bit jealous because, like, Winston's actually in love with Mandy now. Because obviously Winston always used to crush after Jess, and while she had no interest in him whatsoever, she now feels a bit jealous that he's actually found someone.
Her own benefit as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, Elizabeth is even flirting with Ken.
Yeah, Ken Matthews.
Stay away from Ken. So yeah, Todd points out to Jess that Liz has stolen her usual place in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But she just calls him a nerd.
Yeah.
But she realises that that Liz has done at least 137 things that she usually does.
Yeah.
Cara points out that Liz is surrounded by 5 guys and says, check out Miss Butterfly.
Yeah.
She says she's never seen Liz in action and she's breaking all the records for flirting. And Jess does not like this at all.
No.
And she says Liz has just been under a lot of tension lately. But she admits to herself that Liz is out Jessicaing her. Yeah.
But I guess at the moment she's letting it slide because, her sister's just got back from a coma.
Yeah.
She deserves to be the centre of attention, I guess, this one time.
She distracts herself. She distracts herself by running around and taking care of the party, getting ice and cleaning up. And at the end of the night, she tries to talk to Liz. But Liz says she's feeling really tired and woozy and needs to lie down. And she leaves Jess to clean up. Yeah,
so she makes it sound like it's, because of the coma and the accident, she's feeling dizzy. She's having a dizzy spell. She needs to go and rest. But it's quite clear when she runs up the stairs, it's just an excuse to not do any of the work.
And Jessica has a frightening thought.
Oh, no.
Is Liz turning into me? That is scary.
Yeah.
So a few days later, Jessica's at home worrying about Liz.
Yeah, she's been struggling hard to pass her English grade. But Liz hasn't cracked a book all week.
No, she's been spending most of her time on the phone to boys.
But specifically not one boy.
Yeah, just general
all
boys.
The other boys.
So Jessica doesn't know what to do and she really wants to talk to somebody. But then Liz comes home.
Yeah.
She slams the door. She stomps across the kitchen.
Yeah, she's had a gruesome day.
Jess tells her she should slow down a bit. And she says that Jess has been telling her for years that she's dull. So from now on, she's living in the fast lane.
Yeah, Jess says, hey, Dr. Frankenstein, you're not the only one who created a monster.
And then at dinner later, Ned and Alice drop a bombshell.
Yes, they do.
So their friends, the Percys, are going to Europe for a few weeks. To a computer convention. It's a bit vague.
Yeah, it's quite vague, isn't it? Yeah.
In Europe. It's a long ways to travel.
Yeah, I go to computer conventions in my city.
Yeah.
I don't have to go to Europe.
Some very important computers.
Apparently, yeah.
So their 12-year-old twin girls are going to come to stay with the Wakefields.
Yes. Liz comments that a broken leg would be more fun than babysitting those twerps. But when Alice is shocked by this, Jess kind of covers for her. Tries to cover for her, I guess.
Yeah.
In a weird Jessica way.
Them, yeah. She says it'll be like having kid sisters for the week.
Yeah.
But then she realises she's sounding like Elizabeth. Alice says to show that she appreciates it, she'll clean the kitchen that night. Oh, thanks, Alice.
Yeah,
as
cheers,
you're like
Alice.
The mother of the house.
Mother of the year.
I swear to God, every book, it always seems like the twins,
they do all the work,
run the whole house.
They do.
They do all the cooking, all the cleaning. They're just slaves.
Yeah, they are.
Ned and Alice just had a couple of kids so they could make them do all the housework.
Yeah, I guess they did. They just made twins to just work for them.
I understand giving a bit of help around the house, but honestly,
all they do.
every book.
All they ever do, every book, is talk about the chores they have to do.
Yeah.
And the things
they
have to do.
even cook all the dinners and stuff.
Yeah. Well, they made all the stuff, they always make dinner. They make, I guess, actually, in this book, Alice makes the breakfast. There's one time she's done breakfast.
Thanks, Alice.
But yeah, that's all they do. And usually, obviously, Jess doesn't do it either. So usually it's just Liz running the whole house. Obviously, at the moment, it's Jess.
So yeah, she'll show the twins she appreciates them by cleaning the kitchen that night.
Wow.
Thanks, Mum. So later on, the Percy twins arrive.
Yeah, the twins sound like they're from The Shining.
Yeah. Would you like to describe the Percy twins to us?
I don't have the exact quote. If
them.
you've got the exact quote. So I just said, my note is just that the Percy twins sound like the twins from The Shining. It talks about them being pale. And I'll get more into it as it continues, because they sound creepier and creepier as this book goes on.
So they're fragile, dark-haired girls with large brown eyes set in small, solemn faces.
Yeah.
Wearing identical grey jumpers and long-sleeved white blouses, clutching identical black flute cases.
Yeah.
Jessica takes one look at them and decides to move to San Francisco at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah. So Liz heads upstairs while the Percys are unpacking.
Yeah. And as soon as the Percys are unpacked, Ned and Alice just bugger off to play bridge.
Yep. Again, any chore. It's not their problem.
Like, 2 12-year-olds have just arrived in their house. You just need to stay and welcome them.
Not leave them with 2
They've
16-year-olds.
literally just got there and they just fuck off.
Yeah, leaving 2 12-year-olds with their
one who's ill
with their 16-year-old twins, one who's just got out of a coma.
Yeah.
Just bye, gonna play bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Catch you later. I like that. There's a quote here where Jess says, like, oh God, looking after these twins is going to be a nightmare, but it'll be okay. And Liz responds saying, "They're named Joan and Jean. Mm-hmm. Their parents must be morons."
And Jess says they can handle it together.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells Liz that she's got sensational plans for that night.
Oh, yeah.
We've got the return of Danny Stolfer, whatever he's called.
Who, if you listen to our other podcast, was involved in the last book, dated Jessica briefly. Jessica's given him another chance.
Mm. He's taken her to the drive-in,
mm-hmm.
and she tells Liz that the front seat in his car slides back and reclines.
Oh,
doesn't every car seat do that anyway?
It does, but
maybe
only,
it didn't then, I don't know.
Only at Miller's Point.
And she says she's sure I don't have to paint you a picture. So Liz tells her to have fun. And Jessica goes and changes into black pants and a low-cut blouse. But at the same time, Liz is slipping into an outfit of her own.
She is indeed.
A short mini skirt and a low cut blouse. She checks herself out in the mirror and she says, not bad, Liz. And she creeps down the hall to the Percy's room. So she goes to the Percy's room. She tells them that her and Jess both have dates.
Yep. But Jess is going to let her look after the twins as well. She
says Jess won't mind taking you with her to the drive-in. And then she just leaves.
Just walks out. She's basically doing a Jessica. This is exactly what Jessica would have done.
So meanwhile, Jess is still getting ready.
Yep.
She's unaware of all of this. She's apparently spent 20 minutes doing her eye makeup.
Yeah.
Bit much. She tells herself, good job you lost those 2 pounds. Yeah. Danny won't want to put his arms around a blimpo.
Oh, indeed.
Like £2 would make that much difference.
It's made all the difference.
That wouldn't even make you go up a dress size.
Paula,
really.
It's made all the difference. It's perfect now.
So she feels a bit guilty for leaving Liz with the Percys. But she thinks, well, it's a long time since I had any fun. And that is true. I think the last time she went out would have been Ian's party.
Yes. Yeah, it probably would be. Yeah. And she generally has an awful time wherever she goes, Jess. So, yeah.
So she goes downstairs to wait for Danny, and the Percys are down there.
Yes, she's annoyed as soon as she sees them. And she tells them to go hang out with Liz. But they can't, because apparently, as they tell Jess, Liz is on an important date.
Yeah, Jess can't believe it.
She says she's never been so angry with Liz in 16 years.
She says to them, you must have stayed home alone loads of times. But they shake their heads and they look really panicked.
Yeah, they look terrified.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for them.
I go between feeling sorry for them and feeling terrified by them.
Like, it's their first night and nobody wants
just
them.
Left.
Nobody wants anything to do with them.
Yeah.
So when Danny arrives, she introduces him to the girls and she explains what's happened. And he is such a jerk.
He's an absolute asshole. They start kissing and then he notices them and literally says in front of them, there are 2 munchkins watching.
He says, you know what I had planned tonight, and I don't want an audience. What the hell did you have planned?
Yeah. Jess also then knows what it feels like. She tries to introduce the Percys, getting the names wrong. She got them mixed up.
So she says that if like they still go to the drive-in, she'll make it up to him in any way he wants.
Yeah, and he makes it clear. He's like, anyway. And she agrees.
Yeah, so she scrawls a quick note for her parents, and they leave. And then 3 misery-filled hours later, they come home. And she says she thinks she never wants to see twins, she never wants to see the movies, and maybe even Danny ever again. With any luck, maybe she'll die during the night.
But of course, Alice thanks her for taking them out, because, well, she should, because she's a bloody awful parent.
She might do one of the household chores and show her gratitude.
Yeah. So Jess is like fully become Liz now. Jess explodes, saying she had the grossest time ever.
She tells her parents that the twins aren't what they seem to be. But Ned says that they're guests and that they're sweet, shy and quiet. Jessica says they're about as quiet as a disco on a Saturday night, and they did nothing but talk and eat all night. How dare they talk and eat? She says it was the worst date of her life.
Oh no.
I was like, was it really though? Like the date with Rick Andover, you know.
Yeah, you've definitely had worse dates.
Slightly worse.
For sure.
She storms around the room, throwing pillows and stomping her feet.
Yeah.
She tells her parents what Liz did.
Yeah, she says Liz is ruining her entire life.
And Alice said, well, it seems a bit thoughtless, but Liz has a right to enjoy herself too. But they do say they appreciate how responsible Jessica has been.
Yeah. She heads upstairs after a little, rant. And she hears crying coming from Liz's room. And Jess checks on her. Liz hugs her, saying she had a terrible nightmare. Jess says, not to worry. Nightmares don't last forever. Or do they?
At breakfast the next day, Alice says to Jess, she says, we know we've been paying Liz a bit more attention lately. And it's like, well, we haven't been paying her that much attention because you haven't even noticed she's completely changed personality.
Yeah,
have
you haven't noticed that she's now like literally the opposite character.
Person.
Yeah.
And they say they don't want Jess to end up resenting Liz.
Yeah.
Because of all the attention they're paying her. They're not paying her any attention. I haven't seen them do anything to help at all.
No, nothing.
All I've seen them do is go out.
They're barely present. I have this theory in these books as well. You never, ever, so far, and it could change, we have never seen Ned or Alice's bedroom. They're never upstairs, ever. They're only ever downstairs.
Oh, that does change, actually.
Okay.
Due to their bedroom. So at school, Enid waves at Liz, but Liz ignores her. And she tells Jess that Enid is a drag. Jess tells her about the French test, asks her about the French test, but she says that she's planning to have a headache that period.
Yeah.
So basically, she's bunking off now.
Yeah.
Cutting classes.
Yeah.
And then she rushes off, saying she has to talk to Lila about a PBA meeting.
I know.
What the hell? She hates the PBAs.
She hates the PBAs, yeah.
And she hates Lila.
And she hates Lila. Yeah, Jess even thinks this. She's like, she's never been interested in the PBAs. Getting in the PBAs was like Jess's dream, and Liz was just like, it's rubbish. But now she's all about it.
So Enid approaches Jess. And she asks if Liz is mad at her.
And Jess says, she's fine. And lies about it.
Yeah, but Jess actually feels sorry for Enid. She's showing some rare emotion.
Yeah.
And she invites her to go with them to the Dairy Burger after school.
Yep.
Todd is also worried about Liz because he's seen her flirting with Ken.
Yeah.
Liz was actually trying to get Ken to invite her to that weekend's basketball game. And he feels really awkward.
Yeah, understandably.
He's like, what about Todd? Todd is in the team.
He's literally on the basket. He's like the star basketball player.
Yeah. But she says Todd is ancient history.
Damn.
But then Ken's new girlfriend, Susan Stewart, shows up.
Yeah, she gives Liz the evil eyes.
Yeah, she shoots Liz a murderous look. And Liz walks off, swaying her hips provocatively. What a bitch.
So, yeah, as she's walking away, Todd calls her over. And he asks her if she plans to go to the basketball game. And Liz says she's not decided yet, but she's got to go and see Miss Green, the guidance counsellor.
Yeah. Apparently Mrs. Green has been on her case. And this makes Todd even more worried. So at the office, Mrs. Green tells Liz about all the work she's missed. and she plays the illness card, and she
Yep.
says, "Oh, I get headaches when I overextend myself."
Yeah, the doctors have told me not to overexert myself. I can't do any work. I can only talk to boys.
And then in the cafeteria, this bit made me really mad.
Go on.
She goes and sits with Winston,
Yeah.
and she tearfully tells him about all the work she's missed.
Yeah, and that she can't concentrate because of the dizzy spells.
And she says, if I didn't have that one long history paper, I could deal with the rest of it. And she heard that he got an A+ on it. And he says it took him 2 weeks of working every single night. So obviously it's a big paper.
And he's been working around the clock on that whilst dating Mandy.
Yeah, and saving whales.
And saving all the whales.
Yeah. Then she turns on the tears. And he says, okay, you can look over my paper just to get the sources and to save a bit of time.
Yes.
And then later on, when he gives her the paper, she just rewrites a couple of sentences and hands it in as a ring.
Changes the name from Winston to Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute bitch. Very defensive of Winston.
Yeah, me too. He's a lovely young man.
So then she's at the Oracle office. Mr. Collins enters.
Yes.
For some real talk.
It's time for the Mr. Collins gives
Mr.
sage
Collins'
advice.
life advice.
Yeah, Mr. Collins' life advice.
A little theme tune of Mr. Collins' life advice.
We do.
Segment. He tells her that he's not only her teacher, but also her friend. Boundaries.
Going
Hello.
A bit far there, creepy Collins.
You shouldn't really say that to the pupils, you know.
No.
And that she's in danger of failing 3 courses. And if she doesn't keep her grades up, she won't be able to stay at the Oracle.
Yeah. But again, Liz says it's all because of the accident, but she can get back on top of it.
Yeah. She tells him not to worry.
But what does she do then?
Then she gets to work on her column.
Yes.
But she adds in a new item.
Oh my god.
The item is, who is that tall, dark, handsome stranger Susan Stewart has been dating, and does KM know?
Oh my god.
Why has she named Susan Stewart and put Ken Matthews as KM?
I don't know. That's really weird, isn't it?
Shouldn't it be SS and KM?
Yeah. She's like, no, I want to make sure it's clear who I'm talking about for her. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she smiles to herself. Evil Liz. Again, something Jess probably would have done if she had the opportunity. Yeah, I know.
You know,
that's not journalistic integrity, Liz.
It's not journalistic
as she always
integrity.
says that she needs and she has. That is not it.
I think Mr. Collins brings that up later as well.
He does,
journalistic integrity. But
damn
we'll
right.
get
So
to
he
that.
should.
So he should indeed.
So at basketball practice, Todd is upset.
Yeah, he's distracted and upset.
His basketball has started to suffer. And at the big Mesa game, he didn't play well because he couldn't keep his eyes off of Liz, who was sitting with Ken.
Yeah, because apparently now I have a theory.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is true. It might have even been in the book and I might have missed it. But my theory is that, so it said that Liz was there with Ken Matthews at the basketball game because Susan had babysitting duties. And I wonder, did Liz arrange for Susan to look after the Percy twins?
Maybe. Yeah.
Being that's my theory.
Yeah, so at the game, people actually booed Todd.
Yeah, they booed him. I feel so bad for Todd. Again, the second book in a row where I feel really bad for Todd.
I know. And the big Mesa players taunted him.
Yeah.
So Coach Horner tells him that he's going to have to sit out a few games and use the time to sort out his problems.
Yeah, the coach is described as a father figure to Todd.
Creepy.
Yeah, again, these teachers do cross some boundaries.
He
does give him some nice advice, though.
Yeah, he seems like a nice coach.
He doesn't inappropriately touch him like most
as far
of the
as
teachers.
we know.
As far as we know.
You don't know what goes on in those showers.
That's very true. It is Sweet Valley.
Yeah, that's the book 5.
Oh, no, really?
That's a couple of books away.
Okay.
Not really. So Todd vows he's going to get to the bottom of why Liz has changed.
Yeah.
And Jessica's also at her wit's end because all the girls at school have been on her case all week, telling her to keep Liz away from their boyfriends.
Yeah, so Lila's approached her. Cara Walker.
Yeah, she's tried it on with Lila's boyfriend, Cara's boyfriend.
And then, of course,
and
it's all out about
obviously
Susan.
Ken.
Yeah.
And She's even made a play for George in front of Enid.
I know. Even Enid now is complaining to Jess.
Unfucking-believable.
This is unbelievable.
And
this is the point in the book where we've gone beyond what Jess would do. This is like a step above what even Jess would do.
Yeah, I think it is, actually.
Like, even Jess wouldn't go this far. So now we've crossed over. She's gone even further than anything Jess would do. Up until now, it's kind of been like, oh, she's just being like Jess. She's being worse than Jess now.
Yeah. Jess has also been stuck with all the chores all week and looking after the Percys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. And Enid, it happened at the Dairy Burger, where Jess said to come because, you'll probably get on fine and it'll all be sorted at the Dairy Burger. No. That's where she tried it on with George. So Jess thinks she's going to have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, so meanwhile Liz is at the Oracle office.
Yeah.
And Mr. Collins is not happy.
No, he's not.
He knows what she's done. He knows she tried to use a column to split Ken and Susan up.
Mm-hmm.
And she plays all innocent. But yeah, he tells her it's all about ethics and integrity. And then she turns on the tears.
Yes, she does.
She calls him terrible and mean.
Yeah, she's so mean. She's so mean. She was fine for, trying to ruin someone's life.
And thank God he's not falling for it.
Yes, yeah.
He tells her that she's off the paper.
Mr. Collins is too wise to fall for that.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to question the ethics and the common sense of having a fucking gossip column in a school paper.
Yeah.
That is just like...
Just asking for trouble, really.
For one thing, Mr. Collins, why did you ever think it was a good idea to let that happen in the first place? And also, why aren't you reading these articles before they go out? Isn't that your job as editor of the Oracle? You published the fucking thing. Like, jeez.
That's a good point, actually.
But anyway, I love Mr. Collins, so it's fine. I'll forgive him.
Yeah, he says she's off the Oracle until she can explain why she used her column for slander.
Yeah.
And she storms out.
Yeah, she storms out saying that the old Liz won't be back anytime soon.
And then when she gets home, she's in even more trouble.
Yeah.
Because her family know that she's turned in Winston's paper.
Yeah. Alice cannot believe what's gotten into Liz. And Mrs. Green is apparently very concerned about her as well. But then, I felt really bad for her. Alice then turns to Jess, and she's like, why didn't you tell us about this? And Jess, honest, not even lying, just says, I didn't know anything about this paper thing. It's not my fault.
Jess is in a room later on, and the Percy twins come in.
No.
They appear.
They appear. These demon twins just appear behind her, and they scare her. They make her jump. She's like, oh, God, and there they are.
It does sound like a horror film.
It does. They're talking about their flute auditions on Saturday. And Jess asks if they ever bloody knock. Complains that they don't
need to knock. They just walk through the door.
They do. They just appear.
They walk through the wall.
Yeah. Come play with us forever and ever and ever.
She has a massive go at them.
Yeah.
And they run away.
Yeah. Well, actually, what it does say is that she has a massive go at them, says that they've only come to make her life more miserable. But then when she turns around, they've disappeared. They are ghosts.
So she feels really bad and she needs some advice. So who are you going to call?
Who are you going to go to for advice in Sweet Valley? Mr. Collins.
Nobody your own age. None of your friends.
None
of your family.
Not Enid, her best friend. Not Stephen, your brother. Mr. Collins.
Mr. Collins. And then, so she goes to see him and he thinks she's Liz again.
Yeah.
Like, come on, get used to this.
He's getting them mixed up now that Liz doesn't dress like a grandmother.
He starts telling her how he can't reinstate her at the paper. But she's like, no, it's Jess.
Yeah.
She starts wailing.
Yeah. She breaks down. She's just had enough.
And he puts his arms around her and he lets her enjoy crying for a few minutes. Yeah, I'm sure she's really enjoying it.
She loves it. She loves that crying. She can't get enough of it.
Yeah, a bit weird. He tells her he'll be keeping an eye on Liz. Thanks, then.
My favourite part is that he basically says that he hasn't got a bloody clue what to do because he's not a brain surgeon. Yeah. He's just like, well, I can't fix someone's brain damage, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I might be full of advice, but this one, he's just like, just be patient.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
So she gets home and Todd is sitting on their front steps,
Yeah, he's
looking
been waiting.
gloomy. Poor
Waiting
Todd.
to talk to Liz. Poor Todd.
I've got
Again.
this really pathetic image in my head.
So have I.
Of him
I
sat on
picture
the
it raining
steps.
as well, but it never rains
Yeah.
in Sweet Valley, of course.
Oh.
But, you know, if it did, it would be raining right now.
Yeah. He says he's waiting for Liz, and he says maybe the world will end and put me out of my misery.
Oh.
And Jess tells him not to exaggerate, even though a few pages ago she actually wished she would die in her sleep.
Yeah.
So she tells him she's just spoken to Mr. Collins, and he says, Todd says that he must have been stunned to see her instead of a star reporter.
Yeah, he basically insinuates that Jess is thick as shit.
Yeah, she gets really offended.
I don't blame her, really,
No,
to be
neither
honest.
do I. She says she's sick of everyone being on her case.
Mm.
And she tells Todd that none of the girls at school will talk to her without complaining about Liz stealing their guys.
Yeah.
And Todd says he must be the only guy in Sweet Valley that leaves Liz cold.
But then, oh my god.
So Jess says guys only talk to her to ask her to put a good word into Liz, and they treat her like a buddy.
Mm.
But yeah, then, oh my god.
Can't believe it.
I can't believe this.
I couldn't believe
I can't
when I
believe
read this. I was like, I cannot believe this has happened.
Yeah, so what's happened?
Well, as they talk, they can hear the approach of a motorbike. And riding that bike, with Max on the back, is Elizabeth Wakefield.
Yeah, she's back on a bike.
So she pulls up, takes her helmet off, and turns to Max, who I, by the way, in my notes, I called him Sleazy Max from the Droids. I got him confused with Guy,
That
which
was
you
Guy.
corrected me on.
Guy
So,
Chesney.
yeah, sorry, Max. Max isn't creepy. So Max
They're all
remarks,
creepy in Sweet Valley.
They are.
All the guys are creepy.
Apart from Todd.
Everyone apart from Todd and Winston is creepy.
Yeah, Winston's...
And Ken.
Yeah, Ken's lovely, actually.
Yeah.
There's 3 good guys in the
That's
whole
it.
of Sweet Valley. Yeah. So Max even remarks that she's the fastest biker girl in Sweet Valley.
Jess says she's telling their parents.
Yeah.
And Liz says, you're no fun.
Yeah, so she runs inside and tells Max to wait outside for her.
She's heading in to get changed.
Yeah.
And Jess says to Todd that he has to stop her.
Mm.
So Todd leaps into his Datsun and he gives chase.
Yeah, so she comes running out, gets on her bike, and then Todd has to give chase.
Mm.
Luckily for him, there's a red light.
Yeah, so he catches him at the red light and he grabs Liz's wrist. This doesn't sound safe to me.
It doesn't sound safe at all.
He forcibly lifts her off the bike and over his shoulder and puts her in the car. I loved that.
I kind of loved it, yeah.
I've got this image of her, like, you know, kicking and screaming on his shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that Liz complains about being kidnapped.
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet, soon.
Few books time. She asks him who he thinks he is, and he says, someone who cares.
Yeah.
Todd.
Yeah, so Liz says that she's got no right, Todd has no right to kidnap her, and she points out that Max is a safe rider.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Harsh.
And Todd said he's going to take her home, but he wants to talk to her first. And he basically lays into her about everything, mentioning how Jess feels.
And she maintains a hostile silence throughout this.
Yeah.
What a child. So eventually he gives up.
Yeah.
And he takes her home.
Liz even says that him and Jess belong together since they're both warriors.
Later on that night, Alice and Ned are in the kitchen.
Yeah.
They're talking about a dilemma. So they can't take Jean and Joan to their flute audition. And they just decide that Jess can do it.
Yeah, why not? Because now Jess has started actually doing the odd chore. They're just going to dump everything on Jess.
And because they can't do even one thing.
They don't mind.
They do nothing.
They don't mind looking after their kids as long as it doesn't affect their life in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they've got plans,
which they
it.
always have. So Saturday morning arrives.
Yeah, basically, Alice and Ned basically agreed to look after these twins, just knowing full well they were just going to ditch them on their
play
kids.
bridge.
Yeah. It's like, you've agreed, this is your responsibility, and you've just
Like they could
ditched it on
cancel
your
their
kids.
bridge night. And God knows what else they're doing. But yeah, they're never there.
Never. Crazy.
So yeah, Saturday morning arrives and the Percy twins are trying to wake Jess up.
Again, so Jess is asleep, and the Percy twins are stood in her room looking at her asleep in bed, and then they wake her up. Creepy demon kids.
So where are we?
Well, they wake Jess up, and they say that Alice said for her to take them to their flute audition, and Jess complains that even the Queen didn't have to get up this early for her own coronation.
And she says, my mother loves me. She'd never make me get up in the middle of the night. And they're like, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And they have to be at the audition at 8:30. She says she's going to the beach with Danny. But then she goes downstairs and she finds a note from Alice asking her to take the twins. So she has to agree.
Unbelievable.
But they tell her each audition only takes about 10 minutes. So she thinks, I could still meet Danny after.
Yeah, I could do both.
If I don't pay attention to speed limits. Like, after what's just happened, you know, and I can't believe she thinks that.
I know.
Like, do they ever learn about road safety?
I don't know. Not yet.
So it takes them an hour to get there due to traffic.
Yep.
And then the twins insist that she goes in with them. Because they're
all scared.
Yeah.
They're demons.
They're scared.
I'm not scared.
I feel really sorry for them.
I must admit, I was messaging you while I was reading it, and I was like, oh my god, these kids are so creepy. And then I did admit, this scene made me feel a bit sorry for them. They're really scared, and yeah.
The lobby is packed with pushy parents and frightened kids. And the receptionist tells her that the twins are number 72 and 73.
Of course they are.
73 is 37 backwards. So they end up waiting for 5 hours.
Yeah, that is mental.
What was this an audition for anyway?
Yeah, it's just
we
flute
never know.
auditions. They never
say
general
what for. Flute audition. It better be for something good.
What, for 5 hours?
Yeah, like play flute in kind of new like Star Wars film or something good.
I would have to seriously consider
how
injured I really was waiting 5 hours for in an emergency room. Like, I'd have to really consider, do I want to stay here or shall I just go and heal?
I'll just walk around with my arm hanging off.
Yeah, it's like 5 hours. Yeah, so they never really say what it is, but yes, it's important enough to wait for 5 hours.
Yeah.
How many kids are doing this? They said it's like 10 minutes per audition, right?
Well, they're number 72 and 73.
Yeah, I guess. It's just like a lot of kids
at least
auditioning.
100, yeah.
Maybe it is something big. Yeah, must be.
And then, so Jess speeds to the beach. It's like, why are you speeding again?
Yeah, you're already 5 hours late. Or like 2 hours late or something.
And also, why is she taking the twins with her?
Yeah. I
I
can't imagine Danny's going to be too impressed.
Like after last time. But because she's speeding, she gets stopped by the police.
Yeah, state trooper. And
she flashes the policeman her adults only smile. That's a kind of porn film smile.
Yeah, it sounds a bit dodgy.
A bit weird, isn't it? And she starts flirting, and he tells her she was 15 miles over the limit.
Oh my God.
And she was putting her little sister's lives in jeopardy. And she is not happy about this.
No, obviously not. And it gets worse for her.
So she's mad. She tells him just to give her the ticket. She drives off and she just starts speeding again.
I know.
Straight away.
Yep.
Like, for God's sake.
All for Danny, who she didn't really care about in the last book. Now she's like obsessed with him.
And she gets to the beach and she sees Danny with his arm around a pretty girl in a white bikini.
Yeah. So I don't blame her at this point. She's absolutely furious. She's just got a speeding ticket. She's done everything she can. She turns up and Danny's got his arm around some other girl.
She says she refuses to waste any more time on the jerk.
Yeah.
And she tells the Percys never to ask her for anything again.
And then she tries to pull out. She hits the car.
Yeah. She buries her face in her hands and sobs.
Poor Jess. I actually felt quite sorry for her at this point.
I know.
She's had a really rough time in this book. I have felt sorry for Jess once before, actually.
When was that?
When Bruce tried to rape her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, Scott. It was Scott, wasn't it?
Both of them
tried. Any guy that she's got with, I feel sorry for her then. But yeah, other than that, yeah.
So I want something a bit more cheery. Lila is having a party.
But it's the worst party I've ever heard in my life. So
I thought it sounded really cool. Oh, yeah, sorry.
The
I
theme.
know what you mean, the theme,
The
yeah.
theme of the party.
Yeah.
So it's called a pickup party. And the idea is, whether you're in a relationship or not, you turn up single, and then you go home with whoever you want. And Lila even mentions later that sometimes this has pretty bad consequences.
Yeah. Apparently, a lot of girls went home without boyfriends anymore. And girls who wanted to get rid of guys, they did it at Lila's pickup parties.
Yeah, this is the place to do it.
16-year-olds having this. Or even adults having this would be
Even
weird.
anyone having this is just the worst idea.
But it was also a costume party.
Yes.
And the twins were dressed as matadors.
Now,
what?
I can't imagine Jess dressing as a matador at all. She'd be dead against that. Why would she? Jess would go in something sexy, and Liz would definitely not go dressed as a matador. But for some
why
reason,
would anybody go dressed as a matador?
That's a very good point. Apart from a matador,
really weird.
Yeah.
But it sounds cool anyway because it's at the Fowler estate, and there's lights all around the Spanish courtyard.
Oh yeah.
And the hottest band in Southern California are playing by the pool.
Who could? The hottest band?
Well, apparently it's not the Droids.
It's not the Droids?
Well, it doesn't say it's the Droids, so I just assumed it wasn't.
Oh my god. The Droids
There's an even hotter band than them. Apparently.
Oh my goodness. But the Droids...
I mean, it might be the Droids, but it doesn't say that.
The Droids are Sweet Valley's answer to the Rolling
I know.
Stones.
There's another band.
They've got competition.
Not good enough for Fowlers. And Liz is spinning wildly across the red Spanish tiles.
Yeah, she's spinning with all the guys.
And she spins straight into Todd's arms. She looks at him, says, "No thanks," and turns away.
God damn, Liz.
Poor Todd.
Then she spins around and ends up in the arms of another man.
Bruce.
Bruce Bloody Patman.
He thinks that she's Jess and she plays along.
Yeah, he thinks she's Jess because he's not been mentioned in this entire book until now, so I assume he's just not been in school or been around to see anything that's been going on.
They dance behind some palm trees and he nuzzles her neck.
Mm-hmm.
And she laughs wildly.
Yeah, he doesn't understand, after everything he's done to Jess, why Jess is flirting with him. But he's quite happy that she is. Yeah,
and then Max passes by.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I didn't realise that you were with Liz.
Yeah. And then Liz says, fooled you.
He's shocked because Liz has always snubbed him.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's... Yeah, I mean, obviously, Liz has always hated Bruce.
Yeah.
And even Jess hates Bruce now, so everyone hates Bruce.
So they duck behind the trees and he pulls out a small bottle from his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
She gulps down several quick slugs.
Oh my god.
And he tells her to take it easy. But after those several quick slugs, now she's fucking hammered. Like, what the hell was in there?
What was in it?
Because I want some for our next night out, whenever that will
know.
be, if we can ever have a night out again.
It'll be... Well, it'd have to be... If it's really high percentage, it'll be like, you know, really cheap cider or something. It'd be like Mad Dog 2020.
Thing is, you know, if you had a couple of quick slugs of Mad Dog 2020...
It wouldn't... No, even... Yeah, you're right.
You wouldn't just suddenly be hammered, would you?
No.
You know? But yeah, she's hammered.
She's hammered, yeah.
So they start kissing, and Jess sees, and she pries Liz away.
Yeah.
And she says, I bet you're going to say the same as me.
I am going to say the same, but you say it.
No, go on.
She says that Liz hates Bruce. She's told Jess 137 times.
Yeah, Liz just tells her to go away. Bruce says, "You used to be stuck up and afraid to do anything." But she says, "I'll do anything you want."
Yeah.
He suggests they go down to his dad's club on the beach, and they leave.
Oh, no.
So Jess notices they're gone, and he tells Todd. And Todd rushes off to his car. "I'm going to kill that guy."
I'm going to kill that guy.
So in Bruce's Porsche, Bruce is thinking that Liz is his for the taking.
Yeah, she's really his for the taking.
So they've parked up.
But they won't go in.
No, he says they can have their own party.
Yeah.
And she's all slurring her words.
Yeah, she says she wants more wine. More wine.
I want more wine. We've all been there.
We have all been there.
She says, it makes me feel so good. He tells her he's got enough to make her feel very good.
Oh my goodness. He starts kissing her on the neck and she says she loves it.
Well, it describes it as kissing her vulnerable neck. gross. And he calls her Sweet Liz. And he thinks to himself, oh, she's going to melt into my arms after just a little more drink.
Yeah.
Like, that is so rapey.
It's horrendous, and it only gets worse.
Yeah, it gets much worse.
But suddenly, Bruce feels himself getting pulled from the car. What could it be?
It's hero of the day again.
A punch to the jaw. It's Todd.
Yeah.
I put, he killed that guy.
Yeah, Todd knocks him out cold.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
And then again, he picks Liz up and carries her into his car and takes her home.
Yep.
So this is the second time now Todd's carried Liz forcibly away into his car and drove her home. She's slurring. She calls him a party pooper.
Oh.
Poor Todd.
Poor Todd. I love Todd.
I'd have told Liz to fuck off by now if I was Todd.
Yeah, I would have been done with her by now.
She's been flirting with his
like,
best friend.
I'm done.
She's got back on a bike. I'd just be like,
I think at the point that she was on the bike, I would have been like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out now.
But he's so loyal. He never gives up on her.
No, he doesn't.
So the next week, Jess is in trouble.
Yeah, she comes home and she's confronted by Ned and Alice. They know about the speeding ticket and the dent in the car. And, she tries to explain, but they literally won't listen to her.
No.
They don't give her a second to explain herself. Even though, by their own admittance, she's changed her ways lately.
Yeah.
They just won't even let her get a word in. But then, the demon twins...
You gotta love them at this point.
Yeah, they stop being demons at this point.
Yeah.
They redeem themselves and I love them again.
Yeah. They walk in and they interrupt. They tell Ned and Alice that Jess wasn't going that fast.
No.
And that it must have been a mistake.
So Joan apparently has a working knowledge of speeding guns and said that they're known to be wrong.
Yeah. This 12-year-old kid.
This 12-year-old kid just knows all about speeding guns. He says that my dad once told me that an old oak tree was clocked at 40 miles per hour.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so. And also, Joan also says that she always gets sick. She always gets car sick at high speeds, and she felt fine, so they couldn't have been going that fast.
So they tell Jess that. Oh yeah, and they also say the other car was to blame for the dent.
Yes, yeah, that they pulled out with. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So Ned and Alice tell Jess that she's not completely off the hook, but they will talk to her more about this later.
Yeah, Ned says that Jess has a couple of good defense attorneys.
And Jean and Joan apologise to Jess for everything, and they thank her for taking them to the drive-in. Oh.
So Jess has learned... she won't learn from this at all, but Jess has learned that doing good deeds and being,
Yeah, and they say... I haven't written it down, but they say something like, it was the best night of our lives.
They literally say that it was the best thing that ever happened to them, basically.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being 12. They must be so exciting for them.
They said... they said it was the best night they'd ever had. They'd never been to a drive-in with proper making out.
Little pervs.
Yeah.
So at school, Bill Chase catches up with Liz.
Yes, he does.
So we've mentioned Bill Chase in
He was pointlessly shoved into the surf subplot, and then he's been mentioned a couple of times since.
Yeah. So she starts flirting with him, of course, because she flirts with everybody now.
Yeah.
And he's surprised. Todd's told him how she's been acting because he's a good friend of Todd's.
Yeah.
Now, this is debatable.
Well, it is debatable, and we'll get to that.
Yeah. So when Todd told him, he told Todd that he feels bad for him and that it sounds like Liz is acting rotten.
Yeah.
But then he asked Todd if it's okay for him to ask Liz out. It's like, yeah, it sounds like she's been acting rotten. Can I ask her out?
It sounds like she's got brain damage. I might be in with a chance. Do you mind?
Yeah. So Todd, he agrees, but he's obviously not happy about it.
Because Todd's the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah, and also you can't really say no. I forbid you to do this.
To do that, yeah.
But obviously, if you know your friend wasn't happy about it, you just wouldn't do it, even if they said it was okay.
I agree. It's awful.
But yeah, Bill's going to go for it anyway.
Of course he is.
So they arranged to go to the beach club on Saturday night together. Mm-hmm. But later on, Liz is on the phone to Bruce. And Bruce calls her a little wildcat.
Yes.
Little wildcat.
A little wildcat.
Poor
Bill has been upstaged.
Yeah. He invites her to his parents' beach house on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And he tells her that they can be alone for the whole night.
Liz agrees.
Yeah, she forgets all about Bill.
Yeah. She also says that she wished Bruce had won the fight. She wishes that Bruce had beat up Todd. Poor Todd.
Poor Todd. So she tells Bruce to pick her up around the corner from her house.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, Bill turns up to pick Liz up, but she's gone.
Yeah. He tells Jess that he's there to pick up Liz. Liz tells him to wait right there. She heads upstairs, and she phones Enid because she was supposed to be spending the night with Enid.
Yeah.
Enid says, "I've not seen Liz."
So Jess is really angry, but then she thinks, well, fuck this, I'm going to have some fun. So she changes into one of Liz's outfits.
Yeah.
She goes back downstairs and she heads off on a date with Bill.
Yes. Twin antics.
So meanwhile, the real Liz is at the beach house.
Oh, God, boy,
and Bruce
is she.
suggests a naked swim in the pool.
Yes.
She asks him to show her around first. He does show her around, but he keeps kissing her. She pushes him off and she tells him she doesn't want to be rushed. Yeah. He says, okay, but don't keep me waiting too long.
Yeah, she says that he's even more attractive when he's mad.
Gross.
Yeah.
So when they get inside, he pulls her onto the couch and they start kissing again. And then she starts making sex noises. And he slides a hand onto her breast.
Oh my
They've said the word breast again.
I know, that's a rarity in these books.
Yeah. He tells her to go upstairs so he can show her what love is all about.
Oh my goodness.
And she says no, but he just keeps on and on.
Yeah, he just basically keeps on until she says yes.
And eventually pulls her up there.
Mm-hmm.
When they get up there, he kisses her hard. And he tells her he's going to go downstairs to get some more wine.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, at the beach club, Jess, quote unquote, Elizabeth, is with Bill Chase.
And we find out that Jess has been interested in Bill for a while.
Apparently.
But when she asked him out, he turned her down.
Yeah.
How dare he? And she's always sworn she'll get even.
She's always sworn she'll get revenge. It also says that when she first met him, something about his looks and style of living intrigued her.
Style of living?
I don't know, apparently.
Surf lifestyle, man.
It's the surf life.
So they're strolling along the beach and he kisses her.
Yeah.
And then he tells her he's in love with her.
Yeah, he says,
whoa.
I think I've always loved you, he says. And Jess replies saying she thinks that he loves her sister instead.
And he says he doesn't even like Jessica.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even like her. She's a bitch.
So meanwhile, Todd is out as well. They're all out tonight.
They're all out tonight.
Todd's taking a walk along the beach and he sees Jess and Bill, but he thinks it's Liz and Bill. So
of course.
He's upset.
Yeah.
So cut back to the beach house.
Oh my God.
Liz is lying on the bed.
And then suddenly she feels frightened.
So she thinks she should fix her hair before Bruce comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But in the dark, she bumps into a chair, gets her foot tangled in a rug, and falls down, slams her head on a heavy table. Oh dear. And then she's suddenly herself again. She's cured. So I don't know anything about brain injuries.
I am not
to
a
be
neurosurgeon,
fair. But can you, like, you know, get back to yourself again by just banging your head again?
Well, I'm assuming that since the neurosurgeon at the start of the book didn't tell Jessica to punch her in the head.
Just hit her in the head with a pan.
I'm assuming that generally it doesn't work.
Don't bother with an operation. You know, all you need to do to cure it is just whack them over the head.
I also like the wider implications of this now. So are we suggesting, because there's no more mention of her going to the doctors or getting this checked out, she's just back to normal now and they just all get on with it. Are we suggesting that if she ever trips up and hits her head again, she could become
might come back to
evil
this.
Liz? Yeah. It's like a switch.
So she's suddenly herself again after banging her head on the heavy table, and she has no memory of anything since the accident.
No, she thinks she might still be in hospital.
Yeah.
And then she turns the light on and is like, what is this room? I've never been in this room before. Yeah,
so Bruce comes back and she asks him where she is and how she got there.
This is awful. This is awful. This
awful.
gets like we both know Bruce is bloody awful anyway, but this takes it a whole nother level
last time.
of awful.
So she says she wants to go home.
Yeah.
And he says, after you got me out here and teased me.
Which, I mean, he dragged her up there even when it was like...
Yeah, actually he did,
even when it was crazy, Liz.
He's not in the mood for questions.
No.
And he says, listen, you little tease, come off it. You want to be alone. Don't play Miss Innocent.
Yeah. She tries to back off, like, horrified. And he says, listen, you little tease, get it off.
She says he must have brought her there against her will.
Yeah.
Because he knows that she doesn't like him. And then he's angry and he thinks that she set him up. I mean, I'm not sticking up... Well, I guess I'm sticking up for him a little bit. Like, you would be quite mad because if you didn't know what was going on, you'd be like, are you trying to mess me around? Like, what?
I would be mad.
You wouldn't try and rape them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I would be angry and I'd be like, just leave my house then.
You'd think it was
just
some kind of wind-up.
Yeah, I'd just be like, get out. I would not do what Bruce is like, literally about to do.
No. So he's angry. He thinks he's been set up. But then he blocks the door.
Yeah.
And he says, you're going to give me what I want.
Jesus.
He tries to kiss her and she turns her face away and pushes against his shoulders with all her strength. But he roughly seizes her wrists.
And he says, I've got real strong hands, Liz.
From tennis.
From tennis.
And if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll tell the whole school about her.
Yeah. Now, I wrote here, when he said that he'll tell the whole school what happened, I was like, what? You'll tell them that you tried to rape someone. But I'm really glad Liz does bring this up in a minute.
Yeah.
So he tries kissing her again.
Yeah, and she bites his lip. He cries out in pain. She calls him a coward and she asks if all of his big love stories are really just him taking advantage of girls who don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
Probably are, yeah.
If that was a question on the back of the Sweet Valley High, the answer would be
yes.
yes.
I have said that on the front. She says that she'll tell people at school her story.
Yeah.
And he will not look good in it.
No, he bloody won't.
No. She runs away and she's onto the beach.
Yeah, she runs onto the beach and she trips.
It says it feels good to know who and where she was again. And she wants to yell, "Hi there, you old moon."
There's a lot of talk of the moon.
And to thank the stars for shining.
Oh. Her life's ruined, but hey.
Hey, moon.
Hey, moon.
Yeah, she trips and she bumps straight into Todd.
Yeah. Good old Todd. Now, he almost pretty much immediately realises that the old Liz is back just by the look in her eyes.
Yeah. She asks for his help, but he doesn't understand, and he asks if Bill's hurt her because he thinks that he's just seen her with Bill.
Yeah, he thinks that because she's like, you have to help me. He's after me.
Yeah.
Like he forced himself on me, and he thinks that it's Bill Chase because he's just seen him with Liz,
and she's confused as well.
Yeah.
So she's like, "What are you talking about? I've been with Bruce."
Yeah, and then it dawns on her, both of them.
They kiss and make up.
Yeah.
She's overflowing with love and affection for this strong, safe boy.
Yeah, and Todd thinks, I'd better get a crash helmet for her because if she ever hits her head again, she'll go back to being crazy Liz.
So meanwhile, we're kind of getting the setup for the next book now.
Well, yeah, so Liz does say that she has a lot of concern. It suddenly dawns on her that there's probably a reason why why Jess has done this, and it ain't good.
No. So Jess is with Bill. She tells Bill to look at her and tell her that he loves her again, and to tell her what's so special about her.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're on a date with someone, they're just like, "Tell me what's so special about me." Be like, "Geez, like what?" So he says, "Your smile, your warmth, your voice, your lips, the feel of you in my arms." And she says, "Then you do love Jessica Wakefield, because that's who I am."
Ta-da!
And then that's pretty much where it ends.
That is exactly where it ends.
So
she
we've got
tricked him.
Got a little question at the end. Is Bill Chase caught in Jessica's trap? Find out in Sweet Valley High number 8, Heartbreaker. I think the answer is going to be yes.
I think the answer is going to be yes.
In her trap.
Although I would be pretty angry, personally. Just be like,
yeah,
great, thanks for that. I did like that he managed to say earlier on that Jessica was basically a bitch, though.
Yeah.
That made me happy.
I can't remember much about the next book. I've got a feeling that I thought it was boring.
Okay,
but
we will find out.
I might be wrong, because I didn't remember that this one was so good.
I mean, I think it's going to be easy for it to be boring after this book. This is a hard act to follow.
I think we get I think the next two are a bit more
chilled,
a bit more lighthearted, and just to make up for this one. Yeah.
Well, this was our first two-parter. I loved it. I
I
loved
loved
the
it.
cliffhanger at the end of the first one. I wasn't expecting it to end on a cliffhanger. I really liked that.
Yeah.
And then this one was just insane. All the seriousness, because I said in the last book I was really impressed with how serious they took the ending. It went really serious, and it's thrown out the window. Like first paragraph of this book, or like a couple of paragraphs in. As soon as the neurosurgeon turns up, it's like, oh my god, we're just crazy.
Dr. Edwards.
Dr. Edwards is a creep.
The bingo, we got rapey behaviour for sure.
We got 37 many times.
Did we get any gaslighting?
I think maybe she.
Liz must have gaslit somebody.
I feel like Liz maybe was gaslighting Todd a bit, because she was like, I'm fine, like it's just the accident and I'm just tired, and like I don't know, maybe.
The number 37, yeah, we got.
Definitely.
We didn't have a dance.
I don't think we had a dance this time.
Oh my god.
Todd.
Is this the first book that we haven't had a dance?
Yeah, it is, because I thought we didn't have a dance before, and they did have. Actually, no, there is a dance. There is a dance. Lila's, they dance. They have the pool party as well. So there is a dance.
There's two. Yeah, really.
But the droids definitely don't play, unless they're hinting that was who played the Lila's party. But I would have thought they'd say specifically. So we're going to say no droids.
Mr.
Todd, Collins, handsome.
Yeah. Todd definitely threatened someone.
He acted on that threat as well.
Yeah. Jessica admired herself in the mirror.
Yeah, she's
and
glad
so
that she's
Liz
not a
this
blimpo.
time. Yeah.
And Elizabeth doesn't tell Todd. I guess in this one she kind of does, but at the same time it's like she doesn't care. The not telling Todd thing is usually like when she creates her own problems by not being honest with Todd. That doesn't really apply here.
So I don't think we've quite got a full house on this.
We haven't got a full house, but we got quite a few.
Yeah.
I feel like gaslighting probably did happen. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah,
where.
me.
I feel like it has happened.
Yeah.
But
she must have done.
Yeah, we'll assume she did. But not a full house this time. Maybe next time.
So
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for more. I can't wait for more.
Yeah, so join us in 2 weeks for Heartbreaker. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram, Kelly's Roadhouse.
Yes.
We love talking to everybody.
We do. We love the fan interactions and stuff. It's been really, really nice.
Yeah, and share any thoughts you have on Sweet Valley and this book or any of the books.
Yeah, and if you want more bingo...
Absolutely anything at all, actually.
If you want more bingo items added, let us know. We can add another row.
Yeah.
We could do it. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
Speak to you in 2 weeks. Bye.